All right, everyone. So this is just going to be a quick lesson about how I automated the main tasks for the Cloud Cushion store. And it's just going to be a quick lesson because I already have a full lesson about this, a full module actually in the course called Store Automation and Operations. And so you can check that out if you want to learn about this in more detail. I definitely recommend that. But this is just going to be a quick overview specifically for the Cloud Cushion store. So the first main task that you have to automate is fulfillment, right? Fulfillment takes up a lot of time if you don't properly streamline this. And so to first start off, what I was doing is I was using DSers. This is the official AliExpress dropshipping app. You can look it up, DSERS, DSers. And I used this for the first like 10 or 20 orders when I was just getting started. But as soon as I started getting orders for this product and I knew that I would keep selling it for a little bit, at least to give it a proper test, I contacted my agent. So my agent is David, and you can find him on Skype, me in Vexcellent. Just let him know that I sent you. And so I contacted David and I told him, I'm starting to sell this product. What price can you give me? And he quoted me 13.7 per cushion, including shipping. And so this is quite expensive. I was looking at AliExpress, and there's a lot of cushions that were cheaper than this. And on Alibaba, the cushion isn't really that expensive, but the main cost is actually the shipping for this because it's quite heavy to ship. It's a heavy cushion, and so it's expensive to ship. And there's also a lot of different sizes of the cushion. And so that's one thing that I needed to make sure with my agent is that I was getting the right size. And so that's why it's expensive. It's because it's one of the bigger sizes. You can get a lot cheaper price for this cushion if you get a smaller size, but then you're going to have a lot of problems with your customers, right? If it's a super small cushion. And so I opted for the more expensive one that was the proper size. And so it was 13.7 including shipping. And there's a little bit of a discount if a customer orders like 2, right? If a customer orders 2, then the second piece is a bit cheaper than 13.7. But overall, this was the average price that I was paying per cushion with my shipping agent. And by using a shipping agent, I'm able to reduce my processing times, and I'm also able to reduce my shipping times because he's using fast lanes to the main countries. And so, you definitely want to switch to a shipping agent as soon as possible. Now, I put my contact details for mine, like I said, but I wouldn't recommend that you work with him unless you have 50 to 100 orders or more per day. The reason is that David, that's my agent, he has a lot of clients now, and if you're a small client, you're not going to be prioritized at all, essentially, and so you're not going to get treated very well if you're a small client, and you might have a lot of processing delays and so on. And it's also inconvenient because with David, you need to pay ahead of time to prepare stock. This is how it works with most agents. You need to pay ahead of time to prepare stock, right? Because if you don't pay them ahead of time, then you just show up one day with a list of like 500 orders and you say, hey, I need all of these fulfilled. They need to first order all of those products, and then they need to ship all of them out, right? So there's a long processing time there. If you have like a really dedicated agent, they can go and like pick up the stock themselves at the warehouse, or they can front the money themselves to prepare stock for you, just to really show how dedicated they are to you to keep you as a client. And so there's some agents that are, that don't do this. You can ask in the private group to find other agents. We have a ton of people in the private group that works with other agents than just David. And so, if you don't want to pay ahead of time to prepare your stock and you don't have that many orders, I wouldn't recommend working with David. I'd recommend finding another agent. If you do have a lot of orders per day and you are willing to just pay ahead for him to prepare your stock and everything, then David is a good option. Just make sure that you have good communication and you always, regularly check how much stock you have and so on. And so that's what I did. I switched to working with David as soon as possible. And he uses the Diane Xiaomi integration. And so this is an integration. This is a Shopify app. So he installs this for you. You don't have to do this yourself. The agent is going to install the Diane Xiaomi app on your store. And then this Diane Xiaomi app, what it does is it basically it gets your agent access to all of your orders automatically in real time. And so he can ship those out as they come. And then he can automatically fulfill them back to your Shopify store with the tracking number. And so the Diane Xiaomi integration streamlines the whole fulfillment process. And you can do this once you're working with an agent. And now the last thing that I did here for fulfillment is that I modified the shipping confirmation email. And this was just to make sure that tracking is as easy as possible for the customer. And so I showed you how I did this in the store setup lesson of this module. So you can just go back to that and check that out. Now, the second main task to automate for a store when you start scaling is customer service. And so I automated this the same way that I do for all my stores, using Zendesk plus their Shopify integration, and then hiring virtual assistants, right? This is the best way to do it. I talk about this way more in depth in the store automation and operations module, so I'd recommend checking that out if you want to learn more. But basically, I hired just one virtual assistant to handle all of it. I had worked with her before, so I knew that she'd be able to handle all of it. And I told her my expectations of a 24-hour or better reply time. So, I just wanted to make sure that we were getting a reply time under 24 hours. And you want to make this clear with your virtual assistants what your expectations are. Otherwise, that might lead to some frustrations later on. And another thing that I put here is Happy Aid Agency on Upwork. This is the agency that I use. Now, this is actually one of my friends 2 years ago when I first started with, this is like over 2 years ago now, when I was doing beauty charcoal. This was my first dropshipping store, beauty charcoal. And I found my first virtual assistant, and he really helped me streamline the whole process of customer service and figure all of that out. And now he has an agency. So he launched an agency like over a year ago now, and he has a bunch of virtual assistants working under him that are all trained for Shopify and for Zendesk and for dropshipping. And so they know how this goes. And so if you're looking for VAs who are already trained for this kind of stuff for Zendesk and Shopify, Happy Aid is a great option for you. And I just wanted to plug this here because he's one of my friends and he does a good job, and they know their stuff in terms of Shopify, Zendesk, and dropshipping. And so, that's how I handled the customer service side of things. Just Zendesk plus VAs. And if you want to learn more about this, there's the store automation and operations module. And so, that pretty much covers everything that I did for automation for the Cloud Cushion store. The main tasks to automate are customer service, fulfillment, and then your advertising, right? And so I automated 2 out of the 3, and then for advertising, I just kept doing that myself because it's hard to automate the advertising, right? That's essentially what we're here for. We're the marketers, and so you don't really want to automate the marketing always, but customer service and order fulfillment, you definitely want to automate this as soon as possible. And so I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.